Speaker's Corner aboard the Villa Vie Odyssey, hosted by Kit Cassingham.
Good evening, folks.
Good evening.
Speaker's Corner comes to you again. Isn't it wonderful?
From the magnificent Coral Lounge.
Yes, we're in the Coral Lounge, and we're going to have all kinds of choral fun. I've been debating whether I'm going to play with this, so I think I will. I could never be a ballerina because my hair doesn't lie down properly like a proper ballerina's does. But I can stand on my toes.
Good.
I've been telling people that she's going to that our speaker's going to teach us some ballet tonight. So we're going to find out how close I am to that reality. I've got her tickled now. She does have the creds to do it, though. Lindsey is an award-winning. She is award-winning in 4 different professions, and the founder of VidaDance, a nonprofit dance company. She also built innovative programs that merge technical training with life and leadership skills. In other words, she is very experienced to present tonight's topic, so get ready to learn. Lindsey Dinneen, Life on Pointe, the Ballet Blueprint for success on stage and off.
Thank you. Well, thank you so much, Kit, and thank you to all of you for being here tonight. I don't know that I will do thank you. I don't know that I will do a whole lot of teaching you the basics. I think that will be maybe part 2. But what I did want to talk about today are the life lessons that I learned, and I'm very thankful to have learned because I am a ballerina. So I just want to give a little bit of background. I started dancing at the age of 4. And I did so after watching my mom allowed me to watch a video of the Nutcracker. I fell completely in love with ballet, but it was not for the dancing itself. It was for the tutus and tiaras, naturally. And of course I have not stopped loving them since, so I will always don a tutu and tiara whenever appropriate, sometimes when not appropriate, because...
Come to our champagne group.
Ooh, I will. And now, so I wanted to just talk about a little bit about my background. So I grew up dancing ballet mostly. I did so for my whole life, basically. And then when I was a teenager, I started introducing some other forms of dance, some modern, some jazz. Eventually in college, I also did tap. So I first started, I was in high school and I was thinking about what I wanted to do with my life, and I thought I wanted a business degree. I thought I was really going to go into business strategy and marketing. Ironically, I ended up doing that, but when I was visiting colleges, I realized, you know what, I'm not so sure that I really want to pursue this without pursuing dance. I just knew it was part of my soul. I knew I couldn't just give it up. And so I ended up switching gears. I went to a college in very rural Pennsylvania and majored in dance. This college was known for its classical ballet program specifically, and then after that I started incorporating a whole bunch of other different techniques. Now in college I ended up having the opportunity to perform in many different places. Some of my favorites were on the street of Broadway in New York City for an outdoor festival performance, and another time was across the Sydney Opera House in Sydney, Australia, also another outdoor festival kind of performance. While I was in college, I auditioned for a number of different professional dance companies. I decided I wanted to pursue the professional track first, performance track first, and then see if teaching and choreography or whatever else was in my future. And because I decided to do that, I ended up auditioning for a company out in Kansas City. So right after college, I was offered this position. I moved halfway across the country, sight unseen, which in hindsight, I'm thinking that's insane, but at the time I was like, yes, let's do this. This sounds like a great idea. So I ended up going and taking this leap of faith. I moved to Kansas City and I started off as an apprentice with this company. It was a really amazing opportunity to really hone my technique and artistry. They were very precise with everything, and they required a level of precision and dedication that was, you know, the next level, essentially. And the emphasis on everything from the way that you look to the way that your arm goes like this and not like that. Like, little details became the essential thing. And so I was really able to hone in on the details, and that helped me to learn a lot of the different skills that I'm going to talk about today. But within a year, I was promoted from apprentice to full company member, and then a year after that, I was able to start doing some solo and principal roles, and I got very excited about dance. Fast forward a few years, I took another leap of faith, said yes to an opportunity that allowed me to start my own nonprofit professional dance company, went ahead and did that, and that was one of the happiest periods of my life because I got to do the thing I love the most with the people I love the most. So I'm going to talk about all of those things. That's enough about me. I want to talk much more about life on Pointe. I'm going to take a quick break from being on Pointe. How do I do that? Many years of training, lots of stamina built up over time. All right, so let's just set the stage a little bit here. Who has ever missed a turn while driving? Probably all of us, probably all of us. All right, it's frustrating. It can be actually embarrassing if you're, I don't know, with a whole bunch of people. It is frustrating because you think, oh my gosh, now I'm gonna add another 2 minutes, sometimes many more minutes if you have to go down the highway and then you don't have a U-turn available. Just, it's a frustrating experience, right? The good thing is that's a pretty siloed experience. Imagine missing a turn in pointe shoes on stage. That is the next level, because not only are you disappointing probably yourself, or you're being frustrated with yourself, you're disappointing your colleagues, probably, because everyone is supposed to be very much in sync most of the time when you're performing, and you are most definitely going to hear from the director, so it's not a good experience. It's very public, and it's very embarrassing. That being said, what do? Well, you keep going. In ballet, stopping isn't an option, and in life it isn't either, right? No matter what life throws at you, no matter what choreography you miss, aka the plans that you set for life that you miss, you still have to keep going. This, just as a very quick aside, is from one of the most interesting choreographic challenges I've ever had to date. There was a woman who was directing a show that I was a part of, and she said to me, hey, do you think you can incorporate throwing knives into your dance? And I was like, prop ones, right? And she goes, nope, real ones. These are real knives. And yes, I took her up on the challenge, and yes, I ended up stabbing myself at one point, but hey, I'm here to tell the tale. Anyway, we're gonna keep moving on. Ballet is beautiful because it's hard, right? There are hours and hours and hours of work that go into making it look effortless, to making that moment happen where you go, oh, I can actually do that? That's so cool, right? And so there's so much. There's the blood, the sweat, the tears, the hours of class time. It's doing things over and over and over again. In fact, if you don't like a good classical ballet bar, you don't like doing this motion every single day, well, ballet isn't for you, right? It is constant. It is the same routines that you do time and time again, and that is what helps you succeed. It's beautiful because it's hard, because when you are putting in all of that time and effort into creating something, when you finally get to this stage and to the audience it looks like, oh wow, she's just floating, this looks maybe easy. Nope. It looks easy because you've done all the hard work ahead of time. And I found that ballet really teaches a huge number of life skills. I can only talk about 3 today because otherwise I'll be talking forever. But the 3 biggest ones that ballet has taught me are resilience, adaptability, and presence. So resilience is the power to rise after falling. Adaptability is the art of pivoting mid-motion. And presence is the quiet strength of grace. I'll go into each of these a little bit. So, Who here has ever fallen in front of people? So much me. Tripped, stumbled, walked into a glass door? Also me. In fact, I was leaving the physical therapist's office after an injury, so definitely me. And then, here's the thing. Every ballerina has face planted at some point. Absolutely all of us have. I joke a lot of times about how clumsy I am outside of dance. Like, I'm the person who, I'm walking up the stairs, please don't walk behind me because I probably will trip and fall up the stairs. I don't fall down the stairs, I fall up the stairs. I'm that talented. That's the thing, is we all stumble. This isn't even just true of physical stumbling. We all stumble and have moments of failure or frustration or mistakes. We all experience this at some point in our life. I'm gonna break these down into a few different sections, right? Because as we're preparing for a performance, we don't just go from class to performance and call it good. We have to start with class every single day, then we do in-studio rehearsals, then we do theater rehearsals, and then finally, after the months of hard work, we get to perform. And usually we only get to perform a few times, and then poof, it's also done. When we're in studio rehearsals, we are building resilience. No matter how much we warm up, take class every day, and repeat the same steps over and over again, though, falling is inevitable. Failing is inevitable. Falling out of a turn, stumbling over an arabesque, perhaps even kicking your dance partner on accident. I've done that. It's inevitable. Mistakes happen. But getting back up is a choice. We always have the choice to get back up. So a little over a year ago, I was at my home dance studio, the studio I grew up in Northern Virginia. And this is the place where I fell in love with ballet, absolutely fell in love with dance. The artistic director that I had growing up is the same one who's still there, leading the students and doing what she does best, helping them shine. This was a really unique studio because we put on full-length professional classical dance, well, not professional, but full-length, as professional as we could be as students, classical ballets. And when I was a senior in high school, I had the opportunity to play the lead role of Aurora in The Sleeping Beauty. So that will always be a favorite of mine. It's just a gorgeous, gorgeous role. It's hard, it's demanding, but it's sparkly and joyful. And I got the opportunity to come back as a guest artist. And when I did, I got to come back and play the role of Maleficent. So here's the thing. I love a good princess role. I also really love a good villain role, because there's just something about trading the tiara for this like very dramatic crown and putting on dark makeup and having some, dark dramatic clothes and just like commanding the stage. It's really fun. So this particular performance is really meaningful to me. I was 35 years old, coming back as a professional guest artist and getting the opportunity to kind of just say to these younger dancers, hey, look what you can do, look what you can become. You can actually go on and have a career. And so it was a really amazing moment, and I was really feeling it. I was feeling strong and powerful and commanding the stage and just dramatic, right? So we get to the performance, everything's going very well in rehearsals, in the studio, get to the performance, and I get to come on stage in this little chariot, essentially, and it's pulled by my minions, which is also fun. And I come out and it's very dramatic. And if you know the story, Maleficent is angry because she hasn't gotten invited to the birthday party, and then throws a major hissy fit and decides to curse the baby, as one does. So, me is demonstrating all of this. It's very dramatic. And then I'm calling in all of my minions on stage, right? So I'm gesturing, hey, come and join me. I get to the fourth group, the last group, over here. I am gesturing for them to come back on, and I turn around, and all of a sudden, I am on the floor. I have no idea how I got there. That is the first time I have ever fallen in a production before, miraculously. I've fallen in rehearsals many, many times, but in a production, and I just I face planted, and I was so confused. I was like, how am I here? And in this moment, first of all, it's very painful. I landed on my knee and my ankle, and I was like, I don't know what's going on. And I'm embarrassed. I mean, this is like the most awkward moment ever. And I'm having this moment of, oh my gosh, like, I'm disoriented. What do I do? I'm in pain. This isn't fun. And so I just did, my dancer training kicked back in. I did what I was taught to do. I spun around, stood back up, and kept dancing. Because you know what? That was not going to define me. In fact, I think I attacked that role with more vigor because of it. I was like, heck no, nuh-uh, not today. I am going to do this right. And I do have this moment available for your viewing pleasure. So I thought I'd share it with you. Here we go. This will set the stage a little bit and then give you the backstory after the result after. Invite me to the party. Why? And this is me saying, your beautiful daughter, she's gonna prick her finger, and she's gonna die. Again, as one does. Okay, first group of minions, no problem. Get ready? Yep. Catch that? Yeah. Finally getting my bearings back. So there you go. But here's the thing. I chose to get back up. I chose to keep going. And as you can see in my expression, I surprisingly did not let it faze me. Or at least I did not let my face tell anyone that it fazed me, even though it did. How often do we let falls define us? Things like that. Things like those moments where you're really startled. Something happens you didn't expect. A denied promotion, a failed business, a bad breakup, an unrealized dream, a missed opportunity. Things that you look back and you regret, and you let it define you. You let it make it part of your identity, and you obsess and you think about it and you think about it. But what if instead of living in the past and letting it define us, what if we got back up, brushed it off, and moved forward with determination? I know that sounds easy. It's not really easy in real life, but that's what builds resilience. It's not the falling down, it's the getting back up and choosing to do that time and time again. And not letting it define us. So what studio rehearsals teach us about resilience is that mistakes are part of mastery. You're gonna mess up. It just happens, and that's okay. What matters is you learn from the mistakes and then you keep moving forward. You can recover with dignity. You can own your mistake, whether it's a fall in a classical ballet production, or it's a missed opportunity, or it's a bad decision, or it's a bad interaction with somebody you have to go back and apologize for. But you can recover with dignity. You can do that. And you can always let the fall fuel you and not define you. So you can take the lessons you learned, you can stumble every single day, but as long as you keep going, you are winning. So let it fuel you, not define you. Now, who here has had a plan make a wild and unexpected turn? Me, for sure. What do you do when you have no chance or choice but to pivot? If you recall the Friends episode where he's, one of my favorite scenes ever in a TV show. So, when we have a life circumstance that throws us for a loop, so let's say that you plan to start a business and the industry changed rapidly and you weren't able to do what you thought you were going to do. What if you have a situation where you thought a relationship was going to be the one and last forever and things change and it doesn't go as planned? Or what if a world pandemic happens and your dance studio gets shut down, right? What do you do in those moments when life throws you these crazy, unexpected twists? Well, you adapt, you pivot. So in the theater, when we go from the studio to the theater, many things happen. One of those is typically the space that you've rehearsed in so beautifully and you've kind of figured everything out with your spacing and all of the dynamics, the flooring, because every floor feels a little bit different. You get to the stage and you go, well that's not the same as I rehearsed, right? And in that moment, you have to pivot, you have to adapt, you have to go. So for instance, I'll give an example. When I had my professional company, we had this opportunity to do this corporate dinner performance, basically, and it was a fundraising event. It was really fun. I had met with the organizers several times before. They had laid out the space exactly how it was going to be for the performance, exactly. Told us exactly the stage dimensions, which side of the room we were going to be facing as we performed, and so great, got all that ironed out, no problem. Then we get to the venue on the day of, early, because that's what we do, and only to find out that instead of putting all of the tables and chairs where they had said, one side, they decided to take it and put it as a theater in the round, which, if you're not familiar with that concept, means that people are literally sitting everywhere all around you. Well, it's pretty awkward for the people over here if you are performing to this side only, so basically turn that around. If I am doing my entire choreography this way, it's a little awkward, right? So we decide, okay, I guess we have 30 minutes, we're gonna re-choreograph everything. So we go backstage and we restage the entire half an hour performance so that we can perform in the round. That's insane, it shouldn't happen, right? We planned for this, we planned correctly. Life threw us a curveball we didn't expect. And you just adapt, you just change. The plan is great, but the ability to pivot is essential. So sometimes you have to miss a turn to ensure future success. Dancers are taught to feel and assess the moment in the moment and shift accordingly. That's one of the best skills I learned as a dancer. So there was a moment when I was in Kansas City and had my professional company. I kept getting asked time and time again, do a nutcracker, do a nutcracker. And I was like, ugh, everyone does a nutcracker, I'm not doing a nutcracker. And I kept getting these questions, and so I was like, all right, fine. But if I do a nutcracker, it's gonna be done my way. And that means, because we're based in Kansas City, it was gonna be very Kansas City themed. So for instance, our main character was a nod to Dorothy. She had a blue gingham dress and she was wearing ruby colored pointe shoes. And it was the first act, instead of setting in a home, was actually set in a jazz club. And so it was, Kansas City is known for its jazz, so that was a really fun element. And then in Act 2, typically what you see in the Nutcracker is Clara and her prince, or however it plays out, everything is a little different, goes around the world, and you see things like Arabian coffee and Spanish chocolate, and Chinese tea. Well, I said, great, let's take that concept, and instead of doing it around the world exactly, let's do it around Kansas City, around the Kansas City Plaza, if you're familiar. And so I adapted, and it was Christopher Elbow chocolate, so one of the best chocolatiers in the city. And it was Jack Stack barbecue, because Kansas City is known for its barbecue. And there was, instead of Chinese tea, we had Tea Biotics kombucha. And then we had Boulevard beer. And it was really fun because it was so themed around the city itself. Anyway, this show meant the world to me. It was a really true labor of love. It took a long time to put together, and I spent hours and hours, making it come to life. We get to the performance, and everything has gone very, very well. Like, we had sold out shows, which was awesome. Like, it was so cool to see this dream come to life in a way I just couldn't have predicted. But we get to the end performance. It's a Sunday matinee. I'm exhausted. It had been a really, really difficult time of life personally and professionally, and so it was just a lot going on in my mind. We get to the last show. I wake up that morning, I'm feeling sick. I'm like, oh my gosh, no energy, don't feel well. And I go, okay, Dayquil for the win, because again, dancers don't give up. Maybe one of our strengths, also one of our weaknesses. We can talk about that at a later date. But the point is, I'm not feeling well. I get hopped up on Dayquil and Advil, and I'm like, gonna do this anyway. So I'm warming up, it's going okay, but not great. And we get to a section in our pas de deux. This is me and my dance partner. So pas de deux means dance for two, and it's a beautiful moment in the ballet. And it's where the two of them dance together, and they have the most, I don't know, it's gorgeous. The music's gorgeous, everything about it is just, I love it. And being the crazy person I am, I choreographed the hardest pas de deux I've ever done in my entire life. It was like, let's do this. Which was a wonderful thing to have done, except that there's this one turn that we had worked on for a long time. It's not something I've ever seen before. It might be, I'm sure it does exist somewhere else. It's just not something I've seen before. And I come to find out later, even though I thought this was a really cool transferable turn, that my feet, the way that they're built, my ankle strength combined with my ridiculously high arches and the way that my feet bend, I'm the only one who can do this turn, which is insane, and I don't know why. But anyway, the point is, there's a really crazy turn and it requires a lot of precision, because I am going to hold on to my partner's arm, I'm going to lift my leg, and I'm going to be off balance at the same time, like that. Except it's counterbalanced, so I'm not normally falling off a point. This had gone so well in the rehearsals and in the previous two performances, but we get to the last day, my stamina is gone, everything's shot, and I fall out of this. Well, here's the thing. I knew I was falling out of this turn. I knew that I was spiraling out of control, and I had two choices in the moment. I could try to keep going and risk injuring myself badly or pulling my partner down and we both fall, or I could get out of the turn in the most awkward way possible and save myself and him for the future. And that instant decision I had to make was awkward, because there is no way that you could possibly think, there's no way the audience could have missed it. It was so obvious, it was so awkward to have this moment of like, and I wish I had the video of it. I don't, I can't find it, which is ironic, but I'm sure it exists somewhere. But there was no recovery, basically. Everyone knew that I had made a mistake and had to pivot in the moment. What I can do is show you the video of what it's supposed to be. But what I want to emphasize is I had to make a choice. I could brazenly continue down the path that I was on, go, nope, don't agree with life right now, I'm gonna keep going. Or I could say, whoo, that's not the smart move. And a smart move is to do something awkward and embarrassing in order to make the right choice that ultimately led me to save the dance, as it were. So here's a video of how it's supposed to go. looks so controlled and so beautiful. That's how it's supposed to look. How it looked in real life was nothing like that. But here's the thing, we kept going, because again, you make a choice, you pivot, and you keep moving forward. And what's ironic is, at the end of that performance, we received a standing ovation. So the reality is, in that moment of feeling like I was failing and the pivot was not a fun choice to make and was embarrassing professionally, it ended up that no one cared. I cared, but no one else cared because they felt the feelings, and maybe the human moment actually connected us more. Adaptability is your silent superpower. Being adaptable means we don't anchor ourselves to what was supposed to happen. Golly, we could do this all day, every day, right? I mean, we could even do that here and go, they said 7 o'clock, but it's 7:15, right? We can do this all day long, every day. But what we can also do is choose to adapt in the moment and say, we're going to adjust to what is, not what we wish it were, not what it should have been, not what we think it was supposed to be, and instead move forward with humility, intentionality, and even a little bit of humor. We have that choice. Adaptability is key. So what theater rehearsals teach us about adapting is we adjust in real time, right? Life is not a rehearsal. Life is the actual performance, so we figure it out on the fly. We let go of the notion of perfect. It doesn't exist. There's no reason to chase after it. That's the hardest thing to say as a ballerina, because your whole life you're taught perfect, perfect, perfect. Well, perfect doesn't exist. So what we can do is let go of perfect and move forward with excellence. And then we keep going no matter what. We don't let, again, anything define us. We move forward. Life like dance is rarely predictable, but that, in my view and in my experience, is what makes it so magical. All right, so besides me, who here has ever walked into a room and felt completely unqualified for whatever it was you were supposed to do? Interview, presentation, felt like, you felt like, oh my gosh, I think I'm a fraud, everyone's gonna know it, right? Here's the thing, we've all felt that. We have all felt that moment of, I shouldn't be the one doing this. But here's the thing, spoiler alert, dancers are almost always nervous before a performance. I still get nervous every single time. I know what the heck I'm doing. Doesn't matter, I'm still nervous. I finally reoriented my mind to say that nerves exist because it means I care. And that's why I'm feeling nervous, because it's self-pressure to want to do the best I can do in the moment. However, I'm still nervous. I still have that physical sensation of like, right? And we're always in pain or discomfort. And quite frankly, we're usually thinking about post-performance snacks. So we've got a lot on our minds, and we are still going to show up in the moment, even when our knees are shaking. So performances, you've done all the work ahead of time, right? You've done the hours of in-studio theater rehearsals. You've done the hours of studio rehearsals that go way too late in the night, where the director infamously says, just one more time. Okay, 16 times later. On the performance stage, this is where we cultivate presence. So we're going to command the stage even when we're unsure, because we get to tell the audience how we want them to feel. We get to help feel for them. This is one of the coolest gifts, I think, about dance. And when we're cultivating presence, we are showing up and sometimes, quite frankly, faking it. Sometimes the last thing you want to do on stage is smile, but your role requires that. And you still have to come on and smile and go, you know what? Whatever I'm feeling, whatever other things are going on in my life, I can still choose to set those aside and come back and go, I am moving forward with grace. And even if the smile's like this, we can still do it. So we're gonna keep going. But we get that chance to tell the audience what we want them to feel too. If you project confidence, if you project a sense of relaxation and peace, the audience will project that right back at you. And so there's this example of a moment on the joyful side of things where this really hit home for me. So I knew that this was a thing for a long time, but there was this one performance that a dancer of mine, who's also a prolific choreographer, she put together this show called Turning the Page. And it was a story about a girl, school-age girl, who's getting bullied, and she escapes to a library. And in the library, the books come to life, and through the stories, they help to give her courage because she encounters all these like fictional challenges that she has to overcome. It's a really fun, beautifully told story. Absolutely adore it. There's this one scene, which is the Tom Sawyer scene, where Tom is persuading the dancers, the school children as it were, to take over his job of whitewashing the fences, if you recall that. And so they're trading their actual fun things for this apparently more fun activity. And so anyway. And there's this moment in that piece where we're all professional dancers dancing like school children, right? And we have this moment where we are on the floor and we're pretending to do this whitewashing, and then we turn and face each other. And in this case, I was facing one of my very best friends, and we're all in our 30s, and we're 20s or 30s or whatever, and we're doing this really silly motion where we rock back, we kick our feet up in the air and rock forward and then do it again. And it's just a goofy moment, just joyful. And I had this moment of, I sat up and I looked at her, and we were doing this goofiest thing, and I was like, yep, yours is professional training and this is what we're doing, but not in a bad way. It was so fun. And I had this moment of just like, I just let out this huge laugh because I couldn't help it. It was so much fun to be in this moment, and I loved what I was doing, and I loved who I was doing it with. And in that moment, the audience started laughing too. And so they mirrored back to me what I was feeling. And it became one of these really I will never forget that moment of realizing that what you project out into the world, whether it's on stage or whether it's your one-on-one interactions with other people, whether it's, interacting with, staff members or your fellow shipmates, or whether it's interacting with, a really crazy board that has you feeling a little nervous. What you project is what comes back. And so I'll show you this clip because it's just kind of silly. I'm right over here. Rolling for just a minute because look at how cute these little fences are. Oh my goodness. So it's moments like those that just reinforced to me again, I get to show the audience how I want them to feel. What performance really is not perfection. It's not steps. It's not just you watching me dance. And I would argue it's the same about a lot of things. It's not just about you watching me speak or about you watching somebody interact with somebody else. It's connection. Grace isn't just about movements. It's how you walk into a space, how you stand at the bar, had to include that little pun, but how you treat everyone around you, your director, your boss, your colleagues, your friends, your family, your staff, and how you acknowledge praise at the end, how you take a bow. Whether it's, a physical curtsy or whether it is a thank you at the end of an interaction. Grace is about walking through the world in a way that suggests confidence and poise, respect, and ultimately love for those around you. Grace means knowing your value even when others don't. It's walking tall when you're shaking inside. It's being calm during chaos, accepting corrections and critique every day, which every dancer will tell you it is every day, all day long. You really have to have grace in that moment. And you're still going to strive to do just a little bit better next time. But it's also about giving yourself leeway because you're not going to be at your best every day. So you just have to do what your best is in that day. So some days, you're going to do that triple pirouette, and then you're going to do the most gorgeous arabesque, and then your leap is going to just be stunning, and you're going to be literally just sort of flying. And then next day you're going to fall out of every single turn you tried. It's so frustrating, right? But that's okay, because life isn't all perfect, right? We're not striving for that anyway. We're allowing life to unfold as it's meant to. Confidence isn't a feeling, often. It's a posture and it's a decision. And ultimately, grace is the choice to show up fully with quiet and sometimes faked confidence, no matter what is happening. It's that permission that you give yourself and others to be comfortable with you and with your presence. So what performances teach us about presence is always excellence over perfection every single time. Project confidence even when you're uncertain. And ultimately, grace is generosity. Grace is giving yourself and those around you permission to be human. And that's pretty beautiful. In the end, after a performance, no matter how brilliantly it went, or frankly, how poorly it went, you still take a bow every single time, right? You don't just, awkwardly walk off stage and be like, oh, just ignore me, right? No, you come out onto stage, you project and you curtsy. And it's this gorgeous moment of acknowledgement. Because frankly, even if it didn't go the way you planned, those people still showed up for you. They're still here. At the very least, your bow is more like thanking the audience than it necessarily is about them thanking you. I think it's a beautiful gift both ways, but it goes both ways. And so taking a bow means saying, and I mean this in every sense of the word, whether you're just saying a simple thank you after a presentation, or you're saying, I appreciate you to someone with whom you've just had a lovely interaction with, it means saying, I gave it my all. I did the best with what I could do today. I stayed on stage. I did not hide. I showed up. I did the best I could with what I had available to me that day. And now, no matter what happened, I will celebrate that. I will say to myself, job well done, because you know what? I showed up, regardless of how I felt. Whatever you're facing, whether it's a fall, a pivot, or a performance, remember what ballet teaches us. Fall, but rise and rise again. That's resilience. Pivot when you have to, but keep moving forward. Onward and upward. That's adaptability. And finally, no matter what, take your stage with confidence and grace. And that's presence. So, no matter what you're going through, no matter what life throws at you, if you can take those three things and show up to the world fully with those gifts, you're gonna make an impact no matter what else happens. And so, without further ado, what I would really love is for everyone, as you're willing or able, to practice a bow with me. Now again, you probably don't do this every day in life, but I think you should learn how to do a correct bow. Here's the thing, I'm gonna show you a curtsy, because, that's a ballet thing, but together, if you're willing and able, I would love for you to stand up, and I will show you how to do a proper dance bow, okay? Exactly. So we stand up, you can have your feet in parallel if you would like. Parallel is just straight forward, feet together, if you can, again. No obligation. You're gonna have one arm up, right? And then gracefully, you're going to gently bow, not all the way down, just a nice bow, and roll back up. Beautiful. And there you go. Thank you. I am very happy to take any questions you might have.
You did a great job.
Thank you. Thank you.
How old were you when you first went on Pointe?
I was 11 years old. I did a lot of pre-Pointe exercises ahead of time, so that's when you get kind of introduced to it ahead of time. Once you've had enough classical ballet training, and once your teacher decides that you've got the right amount of ankle strength, that your bones are formed correctly and enough, because there's a period of time where you're too young basically to go on Pointe safely. So there's kind of a system in place that helps determine when it is appropriate for you to go on Pointe. And so part of that too is like you're building up all of these ankle strength exercises. So you're doing a whole ton of these. These are eleves, or a plie releve would be the other thing. You're doing things like, rolling through your feet. You're doing all sorts of TheraBand exercises, and then you get eligible to go on Pointe. What's funny is I was so excited to go on Pointe. I mean, this was literally my dream come true. So we go to the dance fair shop and I get fitted, and they're these tiny, cute little, I think they were like, I don't know, size 4. They were adorable. And I was so excited to go on Pointe. So I get to my first class and I come out, and even though I was completely delighted with the fact that I could do this, I come out, I don't really remember this, but my mom reminds me. I go and I sit down and plop down next to her and go, I don't think I'm going to be able to be a ballerina. So day 1 was no indication. Yeah.
Was your mom a dancer?
Ooh, good question. So the question was my mom a dancer? She wanted to be a dancer. Her background was not in a home that really supported that. And so she wasn't able to, but she always wanted to. And so when she was pregnant with me, actually, she and my dad went to a performance of the Joffrey ballets, the Nutcracker. So I think I just inherited it, then. And then I think she kind of vicariously lives through myself and my sister, who's also a professional ballerina. So she's always been our biggest cheerleader, biggest fan when it comes to that. What's ironic is, when I wanted to start taking dance lessons, my mom had just given birth to my younger sister, and so I was, like 4.5-ish, 4-ish, and my sister had just been born, and I was begging my mom to take lessons, and she was like, yes, but not now. I just had this baby, poor thing. And it's the summer, right? So my sister's born in May, and it was the summer program. And my dad is the one who goes, no, we got it. Let's go ahead and do this. We got to get her dancing. Well, many years later, as it got progressively more expensive every year, he questioned that decision, and we were always like, this is your fault. No, also very supportive, but yeah, my mom wanted to, but couldn't, so she let us live our dream.
Sorry. You went on Pointe for us,
Uh-huh.
but are you in your cabin and you just all of a sudden go?
I do dance a lot, all the time. I have not done a whole lot of Pointe on the ship yet. That doesn't mean that it's not coming. But at the moment, not so much. But I still, my most recent performance was in New York City in May. So I'm still actively performing. I just do it now as a guest artist rather than full time. Good question.
So you would have to then continue to practice, because you couldn't just be here and get on a plane and go somewhere and...
Right, absolutely. And then when I'm prepping for a performance specifically, I'm doing tons and tons of rehearsal hours, even if it's just me, literally, I don't know.
And you'll let us watch, right?
Yeah. Actually, yes. I would have no qualms about that. Anyone else? Any questions? Oh, we've got a question.
Robert.
Towards the beginning of your presentation, you showed one of your PowerPoint slides that defined 3 terms. Could you go back to that slide?
I sure can. That one?
Yes. I wanted to look at it a little bit longer. You went through that very quickly. Actually finished that. Yeah, okay, thanks.
I'll leave it up. Any other thoughts, questions, comments, critiques? Because, dancer. Notes! I'll stay after for the director's notes. You're absolutely correct, yes. All right.
Lindsey, that was great fun. I knew you were going to teach us how to dance.